Hello and welcome to Getting Our Reward Heads Together. Reward Heads is a boutique consultancy creating bespoke solutions for our clients, but we'll tell you more about that after the episode. For now, let's get started. My name is Victoria Milford. I'm the CEO of Reward Heads, and today I'm joined by Senior Consulting Manager Jannine Smith. And we're talking about something that sits underneath so many of the decisions organisations make, but is often under-supported in practice. How people actually learn reward and why that matters.
Thanks, Victoria. And yes, it really does matter because understanding reward and how to make it happen affects not just pay, bonuses, benefits, recognition, and the overall employee experience. But it also takes up a lot of management and, dare I say, HR time. However, in many organisations, reward expertise is surprisingly thin on the ground, and it's often only larger businesses that tend to have more than one or two real dedicated reward specialists.
Yeah, absolutely. And that means a lot of senior leaders are asked to make decisions in an area where they may not have any formal experience. You've got, HRD, CPOs and other business leaders often carrying responsibility for reward, but they may not have come from a reward background. In fact, it's quite unusual for them to have done. And lots of HR generalists as well. They're getting involved in reward activity, but without someone to explain to them how it actually all works.
Yeah, and absolutely. So where do they go to learn it? I guess that's the real question. You can be brilliant at leading people, building culture or running operations, but still feel unsure when it comes to reward structures, maybe pay decisions, and perhaps bonus design.
Absolutely. And I remember feeling that myself when I moved into reward. So as you know, my background is somewhat unusual in that I'm an accountant first, and I worked in-house in finance and then in operations. And when I arrived in reward, my experience was both as an employee and a manager. But now suddenly I'm responsible for getting it right for over 10,000 people. So I wanted to understand how does it all work? What's the logic? What's the mechanic? What are the trade-offs? What's the practical reality behind the theory?
And I guess that's such a relatable route into reward or the subject. Reward can seem very technical at first. I've often heard it referred to as a black art.
Yeah.
And then it can put people off, particularly if they don't have any sort of background in it.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons we built our coaching offer. We wanted to create something that was practical, accessible and supportive for people who really need to build confidence in reward without having to start from scratch. I'm sure we said many times before, reward is very broad and very deep. So you might know all about benefits, but have never been involved in comp. And so benchmarking bonus design is a mystery, even to someone in the reward team.
That's very true. Coaching offer is designed really thoughtfully. We offer small group coaching as well as the online learning courses. And the modules are built into bite-sized chunks so people can work through the material at their own pace. It's very manageable and it's very specific to practical learning needs.
Yeah, and I think that format really matters. So the module uses slides, which are voiced over, sadly, most of the time by me. So there's a bit of pre-warning. But there are quizzes and actually reflection exercises, which we think are really important. So people aren't just passively listening, they're actively thinking about how does this content apply in their organisation, and it prompts questions to do that.
And that's really important because reward learning really needs to be about being practical. It's not enough to know the definitions or the theories, the frameworks. It's about thinking about what is the most relevant of the course content. People need to be able to use that learning in context and real conversations in their organisations and think about things like real reviews and real decision making.
Absolutely. And that's where the formal qualifications can only go so far. They're valuable, but they often lean more towards theory than practice. And that was absolutely my personal experience. I got why we did pay review, but I needed someone to explain to me, how do I actually do it then?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess a lot of the courses can give people a really good grounding, but they don't always really prepare them for the messy reality of what it's like in a business and making those decisions. Things like pay review with cost pressures, market movements, employee expectations, internal fairness, and handling senior leadership scrutiny.
Yeah, exactly. And in practice, reward is never just a technical exercise, is it? It's about understanding the organisation, the workforce, the commercial context, and then making decisions that will hold together across all three of those.
Yes, and that's why our coaching is set up to help people think in a more rounded way. We look at reward from both the employee perspective and the employer perspective, because you need to understand both if you really want to design something that's truly going to work.
Absolutely, yeah. That balance is key. So from the employer side, there are budgets, governance, benchmarking, compliance, strategy. And from the employee side, there's things like fairness, transparency, motivation, and trust.
And that's so true. And so often those two perspectives don't always actually line up very neatly.
No, not at all. And that's why reward professionals need more than just data. They really need judgment.
Yes, and that becomes even more important now that AI is part of the conversation. AI can absolutely help with speed, structure, data analysis. It can really help us generate useful information quickly, and that's why it's valuable.
It is, but reward people need to know what to ask it. If you want to review a bonus scheme, for example, you need to know the right elements to ask about, whether that's, purpose, eligibility, metrics, performance, calibration, communication, governance, risk, whatever it is, you need to tell it what to look for.
Yes, so even though AI gives you a really good starting point, it still can't do the human aspects of interpreting what the output means in your specific context.
Yeah, that's exactly the point. So AI can give you data, but it can't understand the organisation like a reward professional can. It can't tell you whether the scheme actually reflects your reward philosophy or whether it'll support the behaviours or values you really want in your organisation.
And that's so true. And nor can it tell you how it will feel to employees or what perhaps the unintended consequences might be.
Yeah, exactly. So therefore, what do we need from our reward professionals? Well, they need to be equipped not only to use AI, but to challenge it, interpret it, and sense check it.
Yes, which brings us back to learning. If you don't already know reward, you won't necessarily know what good really looks like or what questions to ask in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where I think the coaching modules and the small group sessions can really help, because they give people a framework, a shared language, and the confidence really to explore those topics in more depth.
Yeah, the group element is especially useful because people learn from each other too. Someone from one organisation will ask a question that helps everyone else think differently, perhaps, about an issue. It's also a really safe and supportive environment for you to test your reward learning.
Yeah, and that's very much the spirit of the coaching, practical, informal, and grounded in real examples and focused on discussion rather than just delivering content.
Yes, and I also think it helps people build confidence to ask better questions internally, so challenge things. I think this is really important for HRDs and CPOs who may need to advise boards, lead reward reviews, or even challenge assumptions in an organisation.
Definitely, because if you're expected to lead reward, you've got to have more than instinct, right? You need enough understanding to know where the risks are, what the trade-offs are that you're making, and how to explain the rationale clearly.
Yeah, and that's why reward is such a specialist discipline. It touches on strategy, finance, people, communication, and compliance all at once.
Yeah, and actually that's why reward heads exists, in the first place, to bring that practical expertise to organisations that need it, whether that's through consultancy or coaching or support, and really translating reward into something usable.
Yeah, so if someone is listening and thinking, I'm responsible for reward, but I haven't really had a chance to learn it properly, This is exactly the sort of support we can offer and help with.
Absolutely. You don't need to have come from a reward background to do reward well. Neither you nor I, Jannine, came from
That's
a reward
true.
background. And we think we do it pretty well. But you do need, the right learning. You need to know what the right questions are and the right support.
And I guess that's the real value of why we term our learning as coaching. It's turning reward from something that feels intimidating or black art into something that's actually really practical, understandable, relatable, and manageable.
Exactly. And hopefully that means more people can make better reward decisions with confidence and not just rely on guesswork or assumptions.
Fabulous. Thank you for listening. We hope this episode has demystified why reward learning matters so much.
And why practical coaching can make a real difference. I'm just off to take my witch's hat off. You can find all the modules on our website, which is www.rewardheads.co.uk, as well as our approach to small group coaching. And there's lots of detail on there about bundles that you can buy and so on. But do please reach out on reward solutions at rewardheads.co.uk if you'd like us to design something bespoke to you. So thank you for listening to Getting Our Reward Heads Together, brought to you by Reward Heads. We're a boutique reward consultancy working with organisations across the UK and beyond to help HR and reward leaders to design fair, engaging and effective reward frameworks and solutions, from paying benefits to recognition and governance and absolutely the coaching that we've been talking about today. Every solution we create is bespoke and built around each client's unique goals and challenges. And we do our level best to keep you connected to the latest reward trends. So if we can support you in your reward journey, we'd love to hear from you. So subscribe to this to hear future episodes and do reach out on reward solutions at rewardheads.co.uk if we can help.